Welcome to this week's MoneyFit Live webinar. My name is Todd Christensen, Education Manager at MoneyFit by DRS and author of Everyday Money for Everyday People. I'm glad you've joined me today for this topic, empty nesters and empty wallets. These are financial warnings for parents who have no more children at home and some of the unique challenges we'll get to here in just a moment. If you have any questions about this come up, if you're watching this live, please do feel free to chat with us through the YouTube live chat or contact me. The contact information will be found at the end of this webinar by email or phone. Happy to hear from you. Okay, so let's see what we can do as far as identifying some of the unique financial, I call them pressures. They're really problems or challenges that many empty nester parents allow themselves to get into or end up inside of without even realizing it. You've got adult children, we call it adult child welfare. You've got college expenses. You've got co-signing for family loans. You have the rubber band children, and you've got their maybe weddings and other celebrations. So let's talk about this. 73% of middle-aged parents are financially supporting an adult child. That's adult child welfare. That could be providing them rent money, paying for their cell phone, just regularly giving them an allowance still as an adult because life is hard and do they need. This is a parenting decision, but this is typically considered not helpful or healthy for as a long-term solution to help your child learn independence and gain confidence and self-esteem of being able to live independently. Generations have done it before, all of them. Generations will do it after. And your adult children can too. There are, of course, circumstances that can warrant help. Recent divorce, loss of income, or being widowed unexpectedly, whatever it might be. These things happen. We'll talk about some of the things you can do ahead of time or during as well. But 7% of parents use their retirement funds to pay for their child's education. Just remember this: your child can borrow money if they have to for education. They can eat top ramen. They can eat mac and cheese and tortillas and get through. It's not the healthiest. There's a lot better healthy stuff to eat, but that's what a lot of us survived on in college. They can minimize their expenses in college and borrow money if they have to. You cannot borrow money when you retire. You can borrow money. How are you going to borrow money? You have no income. You only have household assets, and so you're actually putting up assets that you've built up over decades. You're putting those up at risk because your child needs to learn to find solutions, financial solutions to their situation. Now, do they have to go to a certain school? Are you certain that school is really going to pay off in the end? Most millionaires in this country go to public schools, not private schools. And it's not about the school all the time. Okay, that's adult childhood welfare. What about emergency loans? They're in an emergency. Okay, as I mentioned, there are circumstances where you're just family and you want to help out. You give them the money. That's again up to you. If you just give money, just expect them to have another emergency and to need more help, financial help, in the short term and pretty much forever. As long as a parent continues to provide the backstop against life forever, the child will, no matter what his or her age, will have feel no compulsion to develop their own safety net. If you do go that direction, if one of those circumstances where it's just unexpected, maybe you want to help them with a car payment, truck payment, not a fan of any kind of payments, even if it's your own car or truck. Help them maybe with a down payment to get them into a home, him or her into a home. Whatever it might be, there are some things you want to take care of. You want to make sure ahead of time that you are preparing them so that they can take care of this on their own. But have them, if they're in college and they're asking for loans regularly, are you paying for their tuition? Are you paying for their expenses? Paying for their travel because you want them to have an international experience, or for internships because they need to have this job or the other job. Be sure that the money going out is going to come back in. If you can afford it, go for it. The fact that 80% of American households are living paycheck to paycheck says that chances are you probably can't really afford this. You're dipping into your household, into your home equity, or your retirement funds. Not a healthy behavior for adults, and not the example we want to be sharing for our kids. 90%. Now, if you think, well, I'm just co-signing a loan. I'm just co-signing a loan for my child's education. 90% of private student loans require a cosigner. Private student loans, why would you need that? When would you need that? Typically, two reasons you'd need that. One, your household income is so high that the child doesn't qualify for government assistance or the subsidized or unsubsidized federal government loans. Very, not always common. It happens. More likely than not, the child is going to a school where they need more than the maximum that the government loans can provide, or they are going to a school where loans would be fine, but they have to have a new car, and they have to have a new iPhone every 6 months, and they have to have this and that, the other. Not all students are and feel entitled to this sort of thing. And it's been around for generations. It's not just this generation. But if that's your son or daughter, you're doing them no favors by making college too easy on them. Let them learn life experiences while in college beyond the things they need for their career. Consider these pros and cons. If you pay for their college, great. They don't have to worry about it. They don't have to feel they're going to have to not end up getting in too much debt and pay for student loans for the next 20, 30 years. Pros for you paying that? Not a whole lot. Otherwise, cons for you, you're putting your retirement in jeopardy. Cons for the child. If you're paying for the child, how could that be bad? They don't have skin in the game. They are more likely, students who do not pay for or have no personal investment in their college education are more likely to drop out. That's just the way it is. So paying for their college 100%, taking care of them, coddling them, and so forth. Man, I'm sounding really harsh, huh? I don't mean to. And like I say, your child may not be in this situation, but help them learn to take care of themselves. Independence. They're going to learn by solving their own problems. It's a great skill to build. Co-signing family loans. Okay, so they come to you with that emergency, and you want to help out. Now you'll remember, that guy. I watched that webinar, and he said I shouldn't be giving loans. I'm not saying that. I've been the recipient of kindness and loans from family and charity and generosity from favors in times of need. If you do feel the need to provide some help to a family member. Again, divorce, being widowed, losing a job, for whatever reason, medical issues. In many cases, adults don't want to feel that they can't take care of themselves. So you might want to put it in writing. Here's the loan. Here's what we expect. Even if you let the child set the terms, if they don't know, if they've never had a loan, you probably ought to set the terms. But don't make it a gift. If it's not in writing, it's going to be a gift. If you just say, well, pay me back when you can, that'll never happen. You might even consider using a third-party biller. There are companies out there that will manage your personal loan to a family member, send email reminders that a payment is due. They can even pay them. It makes it seem more official than just sending it to you, and it actually encourages the child to get back up on their feet and face the challenge they've had. If you are giving money to a child and they say it's none of your business what I do with it, you can be darn sure that it is. You are providing money to help, and if you see that they're using that money and they're going on trips, and I see this in people that I care very much about, that are milking family members, parents, and then telling the parents to buzz off, basically, when the parent asks about, look, are you going to be able to take care of your own car payment, or get a car, or take care of your own car transportation, or find rent? And yet people might be going on trips, they might be buying new cars, and still borrowing money from a family member. So it is your business. You can simply say, sorry, no more money. You have the leverage, and if you can help the child develop a little more self-esteem, if they are dependent upon you. Now, of course, if there are disability issues, I'm not talking about anybody like that. I hope everybody understands. I'm talking about somebody who is completely capable of working and just caring for themselves, but just doesn't, because why would they if they have all their needs taken care of? You can have, and I've had this with my own kids, have a regular budgeting conversation, especially if they're just new out on their own. Say, hey, look, you know what? This is just what we're going to do. I'm not doing this so that you can have to report to me every penny that you're going to spend, but we're going to have these budgeting talks every Saturday morning, for example. You're going to tell me how much money you have in your checking account, what your upcoming bills are for the week, how much income you have coming in and when, and we're just going to talk about your options on how to get your bills paid. Because when you're out on your own for the first time, you don't think about timing of bills. You just pay bills and you forget, oh, this bill is due before that bill, and they're both due before my income, my paycheck arrives. Just have those, tell them to expect to have those talks. They may not be excited about it, but most of them will actually appreciate it and be eager to get that support from you as a parent as they launch into their young adulthood. A few more numbers. 40% of co-signers end up paying most, if not all, of the loan. So if you're just saying, well, I'm just going to co-sign a loan for my son or daughter, I don't give them money, you can bet that chances are pretty darn high, 40%, 4 out of 10 times, 2 out of 5, that you're going to end up paying the whole thing. And we've seen this in people going through bankruptcy, parents, grandparents who have co-signed a car loan. The child ends up, or the grandchild ends up skipping out on the loan, doesn't make any payments, doesn't tell the parent or the grandparent, and all of a sudden you get a collection notice saying you have $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 due on a collection. It's due now, and otherwise we're going to sue you and start garnishing your wages. co-signing is not appropriate in most cases. It's not a good idea. If you're going to co-sign a home loan, they're not ready for it. It takes a lot of maturity, financial maturity as well, unless you are in a position to be able to pay that entire loan and you track it regularly. If you're looking at it every month and making sure that it's getting paid every month, then that's okay. And I can say that because I've co-signed a loan for one of my kids. But you are 100% as a co-signer. You're not 50% liable. You are 100% liable for the debt. If your child does not pay the loan and just skips out on it, you are 100% liable to see that it's paid. Okay, what about the rubber band child who comes back, lives with you after moving out, after going to college, after getting their first job? Helping them out is great. If they just need a few months here or there to get established, find a place of their own, get that full-time job, and learn to live within or below their means, great. But when they move in, it's not a bad idea to put it in writing and post it. What are you expecting them to contribute? Are you going to act? You don't have to, but it's not a bad idea to ask them to contribute a little rent money. They understand. Most kids understand. Look, I'm an adult. I can be paying $50 or $100, or I can be paying a tenth of what I would normally be paying. It's better than what they'd get out in the real world, right? Have an expiration date on the contract, on the writing, on the agreement. Look, you're going to be here for 6 months, and in those 6 months, we expect you to contribute this. But 6 months or 8 months or 9 months or 12 months is sufficient to find a good job, to save some money for last month's rent, whatever, a deposit, whatever you might need, and get you up and out and on your own. It doesn't mean you don't love them. They're not going to be hurt because you tell them that they need to be an adult. It's part of life. Discuss financial priorities regularly. This is, again, if the rubber band child is back at home and they say it's none of your business what I do with my money, you say yes it is. You are not paying rent, and so you can go and pay rent elsewhere and not have money to go and hang out with your friends and spend $50 every night or $500 on the weekend. As long as you see, if they're building up savings, they can do whatever they want if you're okay with it. But if they're living paycheck to paycheck even while they're living at home, that's where you need to have those regular budgeting talks and help them understand the value and the importance of saving. Lastly, this just seems so unfair. You get the beautiful daughter and the princess, she grows up, and you get stuck with the bill. Yes, you still get it, even now in 2020. Most the largest percentage of the wedding, which averages over $33,000 right now. That was the average wedding cost in 2019. Continues to go up. Still, the bride's parents pay 45% of that on average. 45% of the weddings paid for the bride. That doesn't mean 55% is paid for the groom. By the groom's parents, it's only about 13%. Those are just rough estimates. And you don't have, this is no longer, we don't no longer live in the age where this has to be, but this is kind of the expectations that most parents have and most children have going into it. The balance, of course, is paid for by other family members or the bride and groom themselves. Wedding by the number here, $28,000. If the bride's parents pay that 45%, $15,000, and they put it on a credit card and only make minimum payments for the next 25 years or so, it's going to turn into $28,000. And that $5,000 that the groom's parents put on a credit card and paid for over 25 years turns into $16,000. Have a plan with your adult children. Set and discuss expectations, whether they're living with you or not, whether they're asking for money or not. be prepared. They are going to ask for help when they move out, whether they're going to college, getting a job on their own, they're going to need some help. Be prepared. Know that when they come and ask, hey, can you help? You say, oh, yeah. You know ahead of time. Let's sit down and let's talk about what your options are. And put it back on them. Don't just say, okay, here's money. Say, okay, what are some of the solutions that you've come up with? They may not be viable solutions, but you're putting it back on the young adult and letting them figure their way out and learn and build their self-esteem to be able to say, hey, I am independent. I'm adulting. I can do this. Absolutely offer advice when it's solicited. That's the hardest thing as parents, of course, is to not say, oh, that is a terrible, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. If the child asks for advice, if they're completely independent and they're not borrowing money and living off of your kindness and charity, then they're doing great. If they want more advice, they'll ask for it. You can say as they move out, or once when you see them every year or 2 or 3, you say, look, if you ever want advice on that, happy to talk to it, but you just do what works for you. Keep them their independence intact. Save and prepare yourself for your own needs in the future. If there's anything in here that you liked, please do. I do invite you to hit the like button and to subscribe. It'd be great. We would love it if you would subscribe. That gets us out and in front of more people. Plus, it's not spam, and you'll just be notified when we have another video coming up. If you'd like a certificate of completion for this webinar, go to moneyfit.org/live, and you will find underneath that the current webinar a magenta button for getting a certificate. It'll ask you for your name, how you want it on your certificate. It'll ask you which is the webinar. You would just click on Empty Nesters, Empty Wallets for this date in October 2020. And then it'll ask you for your email address where you want it sent, and the passcode, which is NESTS12, NESTS12. No capital letters, all lowercase for nests, no spaces, no dashes, no dots. And then that certificate will end up in your inbox in a matter of a few minutes, typically. If you have any questions or if there's anything we can help you with, there's my phone number. Give me a call, send me an email. Happy to help. That's what we do as a nonprofit. We are here to be a resource for your success. Thank you, and I wish you all the best. Have yourself a great day.